I'm going to walk you through 6 levels of relationship development, otherwise known as the 6 levels of intimacy, so that if things get wobbly, you can just go back down to the foundational level and then build up from there. It's kind of nice when you're relatively new to the marriage development, marriage repair process, and you don't quite know where to start, whether you're starting new relationships or you're repairing relationships, you always go back down to the foundational level. You'll see that it's in the shape of a pyramid because you have to build the lower layers first if you're ever going to get to the top level. Now, before we move further into this, I need to clarify a word that is often used in American English inaccurately: intimacy. Intimacy is used nowadays often to refer to bedroom type activities. That is a very narrow and simplified version of the actual definition of the word. Intimacy is when 2 or more people come together, where they come connected in some way, where the connection produces positive feelings and positive results. When 2 men sit across from a table together and they work on a blueprint together and they start feeling the rhythm of what's happening there and they start to produce good results. It might feel awkward for them to say this, but they have had a psychologically intimate experience. The first layer, and it must be present if you're going to get anywhere above this, is what I call verbal intimacy. The word verbal refers to just basic communication. When it comes to me meeting people in my office for therapy, they may think their issues are way up here and they might have some highly complex issues, but I can't get anywhere with them unless we create a verbally intimate environment where there's no mean things being said, there's no twisted cruelty, there's no sarcasm. When 2 people are having a verbally intimate interaction, they both like to talk to each other. It starts with things about the weather. What do you do when you go to school? What do you do at work? It's very shallow things. It's not that important, but I have seen people be toxic even with the way they share a grocery list. We'll pick up some bread because you always forget. Okay, that is not verbal intimacy. Please do some careful self-reflection to see if you are bringing a verbally intimate, Holy Ghost validated communication style to your interactions with the other person. Resist the temptation to say, I lost the spirit because they did. I got twisty and angry because they did. You would never teach your children, you get to misbehave because your brother did. You don't get to misbehave just because your spouse did. You have the responsibility to live up to good character and a good identity by bringing edifying interaction patterns into your communication. If you're not ready for that, then stay away from your spouse. Just like you tell your children, you stay in your bedroom in timeout until you're ready to bring some uplifting interactions. The next healthiest level to enter into is one that's more based on logic than anything else. I call cognitive intimacy because it's based more on thinking than it is on feeling. And it has almost entirely to do with the future. How do you want your life to come together 5 years from now, 7 years from now, 10 years from now? Another version of approaching cognitive intimacy is planning. What do you plan things to be like a year from now? What do you plan things to be like 5 years from now? But often, even more important, what do you plan dinner times to be like for a family? What is your vision of how date night is going to go? When it comes to Sundays and Sabbath day activities, what is your vision or your description of how that's going to look? This is a vital stage, and we often do a version of it when we're dating, where we ask simple questions like, what do you want to be when you grow up? How many children do you want to have? If you're trying to grow a thicker marriage from the beginning or repair one, you both have to have descriptions of how you want things to be. And as you do in dating, cognitive intimacy is not bringing these ideas together. Cognitive intimacy is using the verbal intimate layer to enter a conversation about your thoughts and my thoughts, but we're not combining them. We're just learning how to say, those are interesting thoughts. For instance, if I was dating a girl and she says, I can hardly wait to become a doctor and live in Central Africa for 18 years fixing cleft palates. I do not want that lifestyle. I can still celebrate it. I can still say, that's so neat for you. I don't say, that's dumb or I don't like that. We need an environment where both people can share their visions in an edifying arena. We can't build any further if one of them feels like they have to withhold their visions and their dreams. All of us have trepidation, all of us have some nervousness. By the time you're old enough to get married, you've probably been through some relationship owies. Something has hurt you. Maybe it was your mom that hurt you, maybe it was your dad, the guy you dated when you were 16, the girl you dated when you were 18. And if we don't check to see if those are going to be out of the future building, then we can't build, because there'll always be some fears that there's more air pockets or contaminations in that layer. This is a very emotional process, and that's why we call it emotional intimacy. So I want you to think about this as if you're on a date, around the 5th to 7th date. You've already talked about some of the future plans, and it looks like there's some potential here, but now we have to check a few things. Let's say the girl says, you know, I was dating this guy, he was really neat, it was fun to be with him, but then all of a sudden he started yelling at me, calling me names. So before we go any further, I just need to check. Are you going to be like that? Now we may or may not get the truth at that time, but that's not the main point. The point is it a safe enough and warm enough environment where such fears can be expressed and the other person can say, wow, I have compassion. Let me check myself to see if I have anything like that in my history. Other way around. I used to date a woman who was like this. We had fun, etc., etc. Then she got a hold of my credit card. I opened up my statement and she spent like $3,000 over the weekend. And she said, is that a problem? Because you have money and I'm your girlfriend. So in my rule book, that means I get to spend money. So then you ask the girl you're dating now, is that how you are? Now, if you've been married for over an hour, the person who used to hurt you might be the one you're still married to. If you're building intimacy, we assume there's been some work that's been done where he's a born-again man, he's a different man now. You have to check to see if there really has been a born-again phase. Are you different now? During emotional intimacy, each individual needs to be able to say, I'm a little nervous about moving forward because of this that has happened in the past. And the other person needs to be compassionate and empathetic and reviewing why that's not going to be a problem now. And you may have to use the 5 steps of rebuilding trust process that will also be in another video. That one will help you complete the emotional intimacy phase. So now we've had some good quality uplifting interactions. We've talked about the future as 2 separate people. We've talked about our past to make sure everything has been checked to see if there's any dangers. Now the brain has enough stability to go to the next level, which is often the level my clients want me to jump them to. Let's skip those 3. Because we want psychological intimacy. We want to share ideas where the other person responds with, wow, that's a great idea. I have this idea to add to it. Psychological intimacy is a really glorious process, but it's also a very difficult process and it takes practice. You can take a really good woman and a really good man, and that will not automatically make them very skilled at psychological intimacy. They have to start to move together. They have to start to dance together. And just like any team in a ice skating arena or any other team, you're going to get hurt, you're going to bust shins, you're going to fall down, and you have to sustain all the intimacies from before by doing the, sorry, let me help you up. You might have said that wrong, but that's okay. Let's come back into the conversation. Everyone's going to make mistakes. Everyone's going to get it wrong. And you got to do a bunch of, okay, we got this. We can figure this out. We're a team. We can work through it. Sorry, I totally said that wrong. That's okay. We're back on the team. Let's re-huddle and let's do this together. Psychological intimacy is a scary, hard, but glorious process when you start to get good at it. I'll tell you now, it's not very fun when you're not good at it. Okay, but you got to keep practicing. Don't give up on it just because you're not that good at it. Inevitably, you are going to come across situations where her brain and your brain combined are not adequate to find solutions. The most blatant area for this in my world is parenting. One that's very closest is how do we use money? How do we parent? She's got good ideas, I got good ideas, we don't have a solution. I can't really see anything specifically wrong with her parenting philosophy, but it's not the same as mine. I'm pretty confident in mine, or we're both clueless. You don't want to panic at that moment, but it lends the opportunity for the next layer, which is called spiritual intimacy, team-based revelation. 2 people coming together and soliciting revelation and watching the answers flow that are smarter than both of you combined It's an amazing experience. It's rare. It doesn't happen every day. But please do not panic. It's one of Satan's favorite things is when she doesn't have the solutions and he doesn't have the solutions, and your child could be going to jail or could become a drug addict or could become something horrible, and we don't know who to blame. But when you come together and you get those revelations, the spiritual intimacy is a glorious thing. There's the final intimacy, the one that is kind of the capstone of things. And the reason it's the capstone of things is because it's always better when it's built upon the foundation of all the rest. You might be going, I don't want physical intimacy to be at the top. I want to mix it in a whole lot more in the other areas. I'm with you. I understand that, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But think like a parent for a second. Think like the mother or the father of a 17-year-old who's entering a relationship, and you start to get worried that physical is going to become involved prematurely. You may not know why consciously, but think about it for a second. Why is it so important to wait psychologically? Why is it so important to make sure there's good verbal intimacy? Imagine a couple who engages in physical intimacy, but their verbal intimacy is horrible. What is going on there? Imagine a couple who's engaging in physical intimacy that doesn't have the fears of the past resolved. Okay, they're just overlooking. Let's pretend that's not scary. Let's pretend that's not going to happen. Your instincts as a parent, as a mother or a father, are accurate scientifically as well. Now, this pyramid comes in different sizes, and so maybe you have a very small period with some verbal, some cognitive, some emotional, psychological, and with a tiny little dash of spiritual, and now you add some physical intimacy to it. That's okay. And then when you build it again, you start at the bottom and you work your way up. Do not make the mistake of just trying to go back to the top assuming the rest of it are done. Intimacy, you don't save it over for the next day. You might be able to enjoy some residuals of it, but the wisest approach to the next day, first thing in the morning for both people, focus on verbal intimacy. It's not too hard to throw in a sprinkle of cognitive intimacy. What are your plans for the day? Here are my plans for the day. I plan to do this, this, and this, and this, and later this week I'm hoping to do this, and with it I'm trying to do this for this long-term goal. When two people are sharing that kind of information, it's very intimate. That whole cognitive intimacy conversation can take place in 2 minutes. 1 minute for her, 1 minute for him. This is not an accountability check. This is an intimate experience. Emotional intimacy, same thing, can be 60 seconds of each. Hey, I'm kind of worried about you getting the oil changed in the car because the guy you was married to last month forgot to change the oil and it kind of ruined the car. Are you in a position to do that? I'm just checking. I'm not telling you have to change. I'm just checking to see where we are. A little bit of over breakfast or whatever. You're having some psychological intimacy about how to help your son with his homework after school. So there's some prayer with some personal revelations, combined revelations, and we're mixing in some physical intimacy through the day. So during verbal intimacy, that doesn't mean you stay away from each other. Smile, that's physical intimacy. Touch a shoulder, touch a knee. Good to see you. During cognitive intimacy, I plan to work on this project later today. Reach a hand over, squeeze a wrist, thank you for that. You can add physical intimacies along the way. You're having a psychologically intimate experience, and an appropriate physical intimate thing to do would be to just reach over, touch, and say thank you for having this conversation with me. Some hugs as you're separating directions because you've been building already. Physical intimacy is not restricted to bedroom activities. But I will promise you this, if you build them in the layers they're intended to be, and you always start at the bottom, you will never have to work on your physical intimacy. You won't have to work on it. It will come so naturally if the rest of the pyramid has been built into place first. If you want to build this intensity, if you want to build this connection and this growth, keep working on it. If your marital mission statement is still vague, etc., take each one of these and describe, I would like verbal intimacy in my marriage to be like this. I would like cognitive to be like this. Walk through all 6 and put plenty of detail on each one of them. My promise to you is it may take over 3 months. It usually takes closer to a year to really start to see results from this. But if you've ever been serious about weight loss or physical health development or preparing for a marathon, 1 year isn't very long. It's the right amount of time to work on something on a daily basis to get the glorious results you're hoping for.